Have you ever noticed one of the strangest logic bugs in human behavior? You're sitting on the couch, coffee in hand, perfectly calm. You look at the sink and think, I'll wash those dishes in a minute. You're not avoiding it. You're not lazy. You're actually ready. And then someone walks in and says, hey, can you wash the dishes? And suddenly, something snaps. A wall drops in your chest. Your motivation doesn't disappear. It gets assassinated. You would now rather live in filth forever than touch that sponge. What's funny is how ridiculous this sounds when we say it out loud. You were literally about to do the thing. But the moment it became a command, it stopped being a task and started feeling like a threat. And this isn't a personality flaw. It's not immaturity. It's one of the most common logic errors built into the human brain. Humans like to believe we are rational creatures. We are not. We are emotional systems that occasionally use logic when it's convenient. And nothing exposes that faster than being told what to do. The instant someone asserts control over your time, your choices, or your attention, your brain reacts as if a boundary has been crossed. Not logically, viscerally. You see it everywhere. The employee who performs brilliantly until a micromanager appears. Suddenly, productivity drops not because they can't work, but because they won't. Or the person who refuses to watch a wildly popular movie, not because it's bad, but because too many people insisted they have to see it. Resistance becomes the point. Psychologists call this reaction psychological reactance. In simple terms, when your brain senses that your freedom is being reduced, it creates an urge to restore that freedom, often by doing the exact opposite of what's requested. This isn't thoughtful rebellion. It's primitive. It's the same reason a sign that says "do not touch" makes your finger itch. For some people, autonomy isn't just a preference, it's oxygen. The moment advice becomes unsolicited, or suggestions become directives, their internal system goes into defense mode. Following instructions feels like shrinking their world by 1 degree. So they resist, not because the instruction is wrong, but because obeying it feels like losing part of themselves. And here's where the logic really breaks down. These people will sometimes skip doing things that would genuinely benefit them, studying, sleeping earlier, eating better, simply because an authority figure, society, or an expert said they should. They choose suffering over submission. Not because it makes sense, but because it proves the choice was theirs. Then there's a quieter, more analytical version of this resistance, the logic seeker. This person doesn't hate authority by default. They hate incompetent authority. If you tell them to jump, they won't ask how high. They'll ask why, based on what evidence and whether jumping is even the best option. In traditional hierarchies, this person often gets labeled difficult, arrogant, or insubordinate. But inside their mind, blind obedience feels irresponsible. They don't see hierarchy as a substitute for competence. Instructions without context are rejected like faulty data. They aren't trying to slow things down. They're trying to make sure the action is actually worth taking. Another group struggles even more deeply. For them, any demand, external or self-imposed, triggers anxiety. Even enjoyable tasks become unbearable the moment they turn into obligations. Right, play a game on a to-do list, and suddenly the joy evaporates. The brain reclassifies it as a threat. This is often linked to a demand-avoidant nervous system. To outsiders, it looks like laziness or procrastination. Internally, it feels like hitting a wall of paralysis. Simple actions require massive energy because the pressure itself becomes overwhelming. Their life turns into a constant negotiation with their own brain, trying to sneak tasks past the alarm system. And then there's the counter-dependent. On the surface, they look strong, capable, and fiercely independent. "I'll do it myself" isn't a slogan, it's armor. But that independence is usually forged from past experiences where reliance led to disappointment or pain. When you tell a counter-dependent what to do, they don't hear guidance. They hear doubt. They hear control. Help feels like interference. Direction feels like an insult. So they build a fortress of self-sufficiency, and every instruction just reminds them to reinforce the walls. What's fascinating is that all these people are different, but the core mechanism is the same. A deep need to feel like the author of one's own life. For some, following orders is comforting. It removes the burden of choice. But for others, every command feels like a small battle for identity. So here's the question worth sitting with. When you resist being told what to do, are you actually protecting your freedom? Or are you just blocking yourself from getting what you want? And next time you stare at the sink, frozen in defiance, is that really independence talking, or just a very human glitch in the system? I'd tell you to subscribe to this channel, but I have a feeling you'll only do it if you actually want to. If you're ready to stop fighting yourself and start winning your own life, stay tuned.